I knew that I was important to Jordan, my now wife, fairly early in our relationship with one another. There were a number of indicators that this was true. One such indicator was the names that she called me. Jordan has a lot of endearing names for the people and creatures that she loves. For me, I found that some of her first names for me were the same or very similar to what she called her dog Gus. And Gus was her precious angel dog. I knew that I was in because she talked about and to me in ways similar to Gus. How many of you have a special name or names that you call one of your beloved ones? Is there a special name that someone calls you? Did you know that God has a special name for you? God has a special name for you because you are God's beloved ones. I think that what we call one another and what we call ourselves matters greatly. It matters because the names we receive and the words attached to our name help to give us our identity. This is why name calling is so powerful, both positively and negatively. So what's in a name? In our gospel reading for today, we don't have names for the two main characters, but we do have titles. The judge who neither feared God nor had respect for people, and the widow. The words about the judge are relatively self-explanatory. Fear for God in Scriptures, as Jesus used it in this parable, is a bit different than the concept that we may think of. Fear for God can also mean having awe, wonder, and standing humbly before God. So maybe this judge didn't see God as awesome or wonderful. Probably related to the judge's lack of fear of God, it says the judge did not respect people. If we place ourselves as equal to God, then we probably put ourselves above others. Especially the least and last in our society, which adequately describes the place of widows in Jesus' day. There are reasons for the special considerations that all Scriptures around the world give to widows. For when the Scriptures were written, widows had no support system. Without a spouse, without anyone to rely upon, these women were left out of mainstream society. No one to advocate for them. So there needed to be places to constantly remind society and all the people to treat widows justly and fairly. So these two people, the judge who neither feared God or had respect for people, and the widow, well, their places in society are about as unequal as they can be. You add to it the way that the judge feels about and relates to God and others, and we have a scene set up for trouble. Yet here comes the woman who's a widow, the underdog, who's probably become awfully good at standing up for herself because no one else will, and she doesn't really expect people to listen. Imagine her surprise and relief. And the judge grants her request. She, like we'll see Jacob do in our lesson from Genesis in a moment, this widow, she wrestled something important from her adversary through her persistence. Who or what are you wrestling with in your life right now? What or who do you need to wrestle with in your life right now, and you need a little encouragement to do so? In our reading from Genesis, Jacob is preparing for this moment of wrestling. It's like he knew it was coming or knew he needed to do it. He sent all the important people in his life away and all of his possessions. Perhaps so that they wouldn't have to encounter this wrestling match. Or perhaps so that he could fully focus on what was to come through the night. All night long, Jacob wrestles and struggles with an unknown figure. And having hung on through the night, Jacob won't let go unless he receives a blessing from this unknown opponent. Basically, Jacob won't stop until something good comes out of the encounter. Now, afterwards, looking back on it, Jacob can name this as an encounter with the divine. But during the struggle, who knows what he's thinking? In your wrestling, in your encounters with mysteries that you can't quite name, can't quite figure out, what is it that you're looking for as you're wrestling and struggling? Are you looking for a blessing? And in our communal wrestling as a people of faith, in our struggles, even if we haven't named them yet together, are we looking for a blessing? I know in my life and in my struggles, sometimes I'm not really looking for a blessing. I'm simply looking for the struggle and the wrestling to end and to get through to the other side. I think it's that way for faith communities often as well. Yet, so regularly looking back, we can say and see that it's in the challenges, in the struggles, in the wrestling that our names, our self-understanding, our self-awareness, that is to say, our identity, can emerge in the struggle. Grant me justice against my opponent. The widow asks and asks and asks the judge. I will not let you go unless you bless me, Jacob tells his wrestling partner. It seems from our story that the widow is given justice. And the blessing that Jacob receives comes in his new name. A blessing all of us have in the midst of our struggles, in our wrestling matches, is our name. The name given to us by God, which also gives us justice in God's sight. Beloved one, beloved child, beloved daughter, beloved son, that is to say, loved by God. This is the name God gives to each of us. This is why I've been using the thanksgiving for baptism at the beginning of worship these past few weeks. Because in these waters we're given a new name. Beloved children of God. A new identity. A new way to see ourselves in relation to the world and one another in the midst of our ups, our downs, our struggles, our joys. No matter what, you are beloved community of faith. And you are beloved as individuals. It's true. At your baptism, you were washed, named and claimed as God's beloved one. I love you and you are mine, God says. This name, beloved child of God, I hope it can have power in your life as the rest of life is complicated and challenging, or while you're in the midst of your wrestling and struggling. Beloved child of God, this name, it gives us a place to return to literally dwell and wade in, as other names are sometimes attempted to be given to us. In a moment, I'm going to encourage you to shout out this identity, because we need to practice and hear it. Tell yourself that you're a beloved child of God. And as you go through the week, and more than the week, your life, I hope you can build upon what we talked about last week regarding gratitude. And for those of you who were here last week, how are you? It's hard to practice, I know. But I did my best this week, too, and we can keep doing it. How are you? That's what we tried to talk about last week. Anyway. To me, your name and your being claimed as a beloved child of God is one of the most powerful things that you can be grateful for always. It's also one thing that you can never lose. So for me, I say, Adam, you are a beloved child of God. And this is what I'm going to say so that I can be prepared for and as I walk through the rest of my life. So I want you to try it. Here's what I want you to do. Shout. You can get loud. It's okay. I'm going to say, Adam, you are a beloved child of God. You say the same with your own name. It doesn't have to be in unison. Just say it. Come on. Do it again. Like you really mean it. It's true. Each of you is a beloved child of God. And not just you, by the way, but all those other people out there, even those you disagree with, also beloved children of God. But that's another story for another day. Today, say it one more time. I'm so grateful for each of our belovedness in God. Names matter. Your naming and claiming matters to God. I'm grateful for you and to you, beloved community of God that is Crossroads. And I'm grateful for each of you as God's beloved children. You are a beloved child of God. May that belovedness encourage you and propel you through and in all of your life. Amen.